Welcome back to Tiny Space Academy, Part 11, Chewing Up the Venetian Atmosphere. So we are going to do a crewed landing on Venus, and then we are going to bring that person back to Earth. This is going to be a tough one because, well, Venus has a very thick atmosphere, and so you've got to have a powerful rocket to take off there. And in order to have a powerful rocket to take off there, you need to have a powerful rocket to lift off of Earth to basically take that payload into space. So what I have here is I've got the small capsule, and on top of it I've got a solar panel, and I've got a small module, science module, and right here I'm going to basically research this medium fairing so that I can put it on this stage. So basically this stage here, actually I'm going to need to get a medium decoupler, not just the fairing but the decoupler. There's the decoupler. Let's get that. Alright, so I'm going to put the decoupler on the bottom of this stage. This stage is actually the stage that's going to try to get me back to Earth after taking off of Venus. So I have basically a fuel tank there, which is an adapter from small to medium. I think it's 70 fuel. And I've got the small vacuum engine to basically propel me towards Earth after I've taken off from Venus. So here I've researched the medium fuel tank, so I'm going to use that medium fuel tank there. That should help me get off the surface of Venus, and I'm going to need to get a pretty powerful engine there. So we'll go ahead and that engine is pretty good, but there's a better engine, so let's take a look. It's this one right here, the T2. That one has better thrust, a little bit less fuel burn, and lower weight. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get that one, and I'm going to put on another medium fuel tank. So that should give me hopefully enough fuel to be able to get out of the atmosphere. So I'm going to put that pretty powerful engine on there to get out of the atmosphere. So here I've got another medium decoupler. Now below this is where I'm going to build all of my fuel, my rocket, in order to try to get out of this, try to get out of the Earth. So here I've got a medium adapter. So I'm going to get a large adapter, and then that's a twin adapter. It allows me to get two small rockets on the bottom, two engines actually on that. I don't need extra large. So I think I'm going to try to do this without it. We'll see if this works. But anyway, I just don't think it will. I'm going to get this twin adapter because next is that large fuel tank with 450 fuel, and that is probably what I'm going to need in order to what is that? Large adapter T2. It allows you to have multiple engines, I guess, underneath it. Alright, so I'm going to put the large adapter here, and then I'm going to get the large fuel tank. That's a twin adapter. That just gives me two engines. But anyway, so I'm going to get a large fuel tank there. And then I'm going to put, let's see, I'm thinking, so let me put this I got a medium engine, but look, that's only 0.77 thrush. That's not even going to get it off the ground. So I'm definitely going to need to get additional engines on there. So if I put a couple of these adapters, these fuel tanks with adapters, then I can put these small rockets on them. And let's see what our thing is now. Still too low. That's not going to get us anywhere. So I'm going to put a side decoupler on there so I can get rid of the weight once they burn out. There we go. And hopefully this will allow me to, well, hopefully it'll allow me to get out of Earth's atmosphere and get on some kind of trajectory. I'm going to put on some parachutes because I do want to slow. I want to slow my entry into Venus as much as I possibly can without using engines, and the drag of the atmosphere should work pretty well to actually, like, if I deploy these parachutes to stop the madness, stop the speed, and gently get this thing down. So yeah, so building these rockets is a big part of this game because it all starts here. If you don't build this thing properly, you're never going to get them back. And that's happened to me, as you could tell in some of the previous missions. I was able to get them there, but didn't have enough fuel to get them back. So that's why I put those two big medium tanks on there to hopefully have enough fuel to get out of that atmosphere and bring this person back. So here we go. So we're going to just, make these parachutes look nice. Let's just put that on there. Make it look nice straight up against it. Okay, those look pretty good. And now I've got 3 parachutes on top of the capsule that I can use in Venus and on coming back to Earth. In case I need to come back to Earth pretty fast, I can use 3 to slow it down there too. I am going to need another vacuum engine in order to get to Venus. So let me see here. There's a medium vacuum engine, and then there's a large rocket engine. So if I use the research, I can go ahead and use that on a medium vacuum engine, because I'm going to need that in order to get back to Earth after I escape the Venus atmosphere. So, I'm sorry, to get to Venus after I escape the Earth's atmosphere. So, let me go ahead and take a look at the staging here, figure out which decoupler is going on which stage. Okay, that's the bottom one. I think I want to get those after the other two. So let's just get this one out. I don't want to have both of those. I want the side ones together. Let's just make sure. Yep, that looks good. That's the next one. That's good. Then our parachutes, and then the next one, and then the final capsule. All right, so here's our rocket. This is probably just not going to be enough thrust to get it out of the Venus atmosphere. I'm very concerned about that. I'm also concerned that it's not going to be enough to even get this thing up out of the Earth's atmosphere very well. So I'm going to put the legs on here for the landing on Venus. I got one person in my crew. And where did the engine go? Let me just go ahead and save this so I don't have to build this rocket over and over again. We'll just call it Venus 2. And yeah, I'll replace whatever I had there before. Okay, so this rocket, as you can see, is going nowhere. Going nowhere fast and just drops right back down on the pad. It did not have an engine, so we got to get this. There we go. At least now it'll have the engine. All right, so what I've done here is I modified it slightly here. I'm continuing to modify this thing because I attempted to take off. There was not enough thrust. So I'm going to get this. I cannot afford both of those because of the science. I don't have enough science to get both of these. So I'm just going to get this one, and I'm going to put a large rocket on the bottom of this thing. Large engine. There we go. And then that is not enough to get me up, so I have to put some more of these fuel tanks. I can put a medium one over here and another medium. You know what? The large fuel tank is so heavy. It's just too heavy. So I'm going to put the mediums on there, and then I'm going to put a large rocket underneath, large engine underneath all three of these. And then I'm going to put another one on top for more fuel, and then a cone, like an adapter here, which is a fuel tank. And then I'm going to put a little cone on the top of that for aerodynamics. And so now we've got a pretty good sized rocket here. Some good engines there at the bottom. Let's just try this. It's lifting off okay. It's a little slow, but and we're just churning through fuel. Looks like it's going to get us out of the atmosphere though. Maybe not. Let's try it again here. Try to go up a little bit straighter. And then when these things cut out, I'm going to dump them. There we go. Yes. And then this guy is just going to keep on burning. It burned. There we go. And now I've got this one burning. This is my vacuum engine. Let's see how much we got. We got out there. But we got a long way to go. Alright, let's just do a big burn here. See how far that got us. It's getting there. Alright. And that one's pointed pretty good. Let's point it a little bit more outward. Okay, so now we've got a solar orbit, and that's going to get us a little bit closer, but we need to widen this thing out. So there we go. All right, so now what we can do is we can go around the sun, and then on the other side, we can stretch the orbit out to intersect Venus's sphere of influence. I want to turn this thing. It's a slow turning. I didn't put any kind of rotary engine on or anything like that, so there we go. Just want to point it toward the direction that we're going. Making a pretty close pass to the sun. I would say within what, 8 million miles, maybe. Not very much. All right, so here we go. So now we're on the other side, and we need to stretch this thing out. So I'm just gonna turn this one toward the velocity where I'm headed to make this orbit a little bit bigger. Keep on turning it. There we go. Pretty much faced a little bit inward. So let's do a burn, expand this thing. Alright, you can see that the orbit is expanding outward. And it's getting toward Venus. Down there in the bottom right. Alright, just a little bit more. Okay. So it's basically just orbiting outside of Venus and outside the moon. We're going to do a little flyby of the moon. There we go. And we're going to go out to basically Mars orbit. Let's take a look at the fuel situation. We only have 19 left in this vacuum engine tank. So I think I'm going to need to borrow some. And that's the borrowing from that engine that's the fuel that's gonna take us back to Earth after. And then I can go ahead and, well, let me put some of that back in. I don't want to have all of that. Alright, so we've got 41 now to slow us down. And we're going with 300 and some millimeters per second. We want to get this down to 200 or so, if we can. So let's just borrow a little bit from the fuel tank. Alright, so we're going to try to keep this around 200 meters per second. I have no fuel left, and we're at about 212 meters per second, which is a little bit fast, so I'm going to go ahead and keep on burning. Okay, we got it down to like 160. I think that's pretty good. So we're going to, I think we should deploy the legs, and we're going to jettison that fuel tank and engine. And now we have our other engine that we want to use and the fuel we want to use to take off. And here we're coming down at like 210, 220. So I want to burn it a little bit. The re-entry heat damage was pretty high there. I just deployed the parachutes, and we're coming down pretty nice. Yeah, that was okay. That was at about 35 meters per second. So that wasn't too bad. So we can repack the parachutes, and then always remember, when you repack them, you got to put them together, and then flip it over to make sure that we're not going to deploy those parachutes before we do any other staging or anything like that. All right, so let's see here. Here's our crew. We're going to do our EVA. We're going to plant a flag, and we've completed that mission. So we have the crewed landing on Venus, and now we have to collect some rocks, and we have to use the small module. So the interesting thing about Venus, you can barely tell where the rocks are. I mean, you have to look really carefully. There's one coming up. There's another one. There's another one, and there's one more that I can see. Very, very small. There we go. We collected all of the rocks. And now we need to use the module. There we go. So we use the science module, and that completes that mission. Surface research on Venus. So now we just need to get her back to Earth. So we're going to jump into the ship here. And it says we need to perform an EVA, so we'll just go ahead and just go EVA and put her back in the ship. And now we got to take off. So I'm going to take off and I'm going to go left, because that's where the Earth is. So let's take off. Retract the gear. Let's get out of the atmosphere. And then let's fire up the other engine. Only got 70 fuel for out of this tank, so I gotta use it just pretty wisely to get it toward Earth. Unfortunately, that's pointed toward the sun. Alright, so we got 31 out of 70 fuel. I'm gonna expand it a little bit so I don't go into the sun. Now we're down to 27. And we got to get this thing to Earth. So I'm going to go on the other side of the orbit. Just kind of like we did with Venus, we're going to do the same thing to Earth. We're going to pass by Mercury here, which is our next destination, by the way. So here's Mercury, and we are going to fire up the engine here because we're on the opposite side of Earth. So we're firing up the engine. We're expanding out the orbit down to 14 fuel, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, down to 7 fuel, but that does intersect the Earth, which is great. Unfortunately, intersects Jupiter as well, the sphere of influence, so I don't want to get sucked into Jupiter's sphere of influence. But this thing's basically coming down right on top of the Earth. So this is going to be a pretty steep descent. And we only have 6 fuel left, so while I'm going, it's kind of a long journey, and I'm just going to run the science to get some more points. Probably could be running the other science modules as well all over the system, but it just takes time. You don't get I'm not getting that many points, I don't think, from those, but I might have to do that later on if I need to get something in research that I really need. Right now, so far, I've been kind of just budgeting and doing fairly well. All right, here we go. We are getting closer to Earth. I'm going to turn this capsule, and we are coming in at 270, which is way too fast. I'm just going to have to do a burn and hope that 6 fuel is going to be enough to slow it down. So I'm burning, trying to get a little bit less steep. Oh, well, now we're at 0. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at my staging, make sure we're good. Yes, I'm going to ditch that part. I'm going to retract the solar panels, and it looks like we're going to be coming into the atmosphere at about 265 meters per second. The heat damage, almost all the way to the top again. Deploy the chutes. And look at this. This is going to be a nice, very slow landing at 5 meters per second. So it looks like we are going to complete this mission. Yes, we've got we've got the mission completed. That's fantastic. I'm very happy about that. This has been a really good mission. I mean, we completed this. We got it done, so that's all that really matters. It was not easy, and it cost me a lot of science to get there. So I don't want to rename that. What I want to do is just kind of splash down nice and easy there, and I can repack my parachutes for the heck of it, and then I can run a little science. Gets a little bit of more science, and then I'll wait for it to get done, and then I'll go ahead and recover it. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this mission. Next mission will be Mercury. We're going to go and do a satellite to Mercury and probably have to land somebody on there. So we will see you then.